Hello, Maverick fans. Welcome to another edition of the Mavpuckcast. Mavpuckcast back here in Omaha after a pleasant, cold Arizona at 60 degrees. It was weird. 60 degrees in January. John, how are you feeling being back home?
Well, I got to tell you, despite the fact that it was in the 50s and low 60s when we were in the greater Phoenix area, feels a lot better than Omaha right now. We're supposed to be in the midst of snowmageddon, but right now we're sort of in the midst of slushgeddon here in Omaha. It has not accumulated the way that we thought, but we had a great time, Jason. And I know you and I are going to be talking about our experience there in a little bit. But first up, we've got to give a plug to our official merchandise sponsor on the Mab Podcast this season, Lawler's Custom Sportswear. The new year is a time for new gear. Jason, I know you got yourself some new gear within the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I rated this store a little bit. Got the new home jersey here.
You were wearing that this weekend when we were doing our in-game updates. Jersey looks great, Jason. I'm glad you were able to pick that up from Lawler's Custom. And if any of you would like to pick up the jersey that Jason is wearing, visit lawlerscustom.com. So, turning to the Desert Hockey Classic, the first UNO hockey action of the new year, January 5th and 6th in Tempe, Arizona at Mullett Arena. Uh, Pretty cool to participate in a holiday tournament. It's been a while since UNO has participated in one of those. I remember over the years going to the Denver Cup. It's fun to get a chance to do that again. So there was a good contingent of UNO hockey fans there, along with staff from the university and the Alumni Association. We were matched up in the Friday game. We had the early game against UMass Lowell out of Hockey East. We previewed them in the last episode. The last 10 years under head coach Norm Bazin, they have been a strong program out in Hockey East. They've had their struggles this season, but with a program that's had that kind of success, we're gonna be facing a well-coached team with some talented players. And first period, UMass Lowell takes a one-goal lead, and then they keep that lead throughout the period. Jason.
Yeah, it was a bit of a struggle. UNO seemed a little holiday legged. Some of that travel maybe getting to them or so. It wasn't a terrible period, but it certainly was not our best effort. And I was kind of thinking like if they get the next one, that might be the hard, that's the uphill battle that I don't know if we're ready for kind of thing. So I really looked for UNO to come out in the second and get an early goal.
And they did 2:18 into the second. Junior forward Zach Erdahl, the transfer from Wisconsin, who had not been in the lineup since November 19th, ties things up 1-1. Great to have him back. He was battling an injury. We found out just how many fans for UNO were in the arena when he got that goal, Jason.
Yeah, and they were loud. That was one thing I noticed is the UNO fans, we were doing the cheers. We had the member of the Red Army there, kind of leading some things, student section over there, and UMass. Like I didn't really hear a lot of them kind of going through those types of things. You knew you'd get it with Arizona State if we faced them, but it was fun to hear all that stuff and to be a part of that and do the UNO cheers. And yeah, you're right. It really did come out when we got that first goal and tied it up.
UNO's Bill Pickett brought a contingent of students down, so certainly that helped. A little over halfway through the second period, UMass Lowell's Isaac Janssen puts the Riverhawks up 2-1. It's 2-1 UMass Lowell after one period. Like we said, not the ideal position for UNO to be in, but a good start. You could tell after the Erdahl goal, it seemed like the team was working off some rust. And then we go into that third period, 5:41 into the third. Junior D-man Victor Mancini ties it up 2-2. He has been doing a fantastic impression of a forward this season. We've talked a lot about his offensive prowess this season.
Yeah, I think he must be taking some acting classes, right? Getting his homework done. He gets out there and pushes the puck, and that's been a big thing for us, honestly. Like, look at how much of our offense comes from either plays out of the D zone with the defenseman moving, or those point shots, things like that. We talked earlier in the season about, having to get those pucks through. We struggled early on, uh, getting those pucks through. We got a lot of them blocked and stuff, and it's changed things a lot. I think a lot of that is like what Mancini did, where he pushes the rotation of everything. He's not just up there on the line. He starts coming down in off that wing, off the boards and stuff, and it just changes the dynamic for teams. It changes how they have to defend the middle of their zone, and it's paid off a number of times for him. And even when it doesn't pay off, he had a couple good opportunities there in the second as well that could have easily been goals, just like his one in the third. And but it's always good to see him score.
Absolutely
Time
right. Oh yeah, great player, great defenseman, a really good guy. We've had the chance to interact with him over the last few seasons, and just a great young man. About 2 minutes later, senior Jimmy Glenn puts UNO up 3-2 on a power play goal. According to Brenton Bean, who's OMAV's hockey fan on Twitter, this is the first power play goal in 5 games for UNO this season.
The power play looked a lot better. I thought this in both games this weekend. We're still looking for some production there. But it was nice to see them kind of get the monkey off their back and get one in. And it's what you would expect. Like, this team, just like I talked about with Mancini's goal, like, we're going to rely pretty heavily on those defensemen getting that puck through. And then you need guys like Glenn and Miller and that to be that net front presence. And if he can be there to get goals, then great. That's gonna be good for us to have those guys kind of grind some of those out, let Mueller and Ludke and that stuff run stuff around the perimeter and just go to work.
Absolutely. So about midway through that third period, Lowell's Owen Cole ties it up 3-3 on the power play. It stays 3-3 through the rest of regulation, and the game goes to the 3-on-3, 5 minutes overtime. Certainly an entertaining overtime period. In the closing moments of that 5 minutes overtime, Omaha's Griffin Ludke, the sophomore defenseman, nets the game winner. He shoots that thing in the slot off of a pass from Jack Randall. A very exciting moment for Ludke, who's been doing really well this season for UNO.
Yeah, I think it seems like he got sparked by his brother coming in, and the two of them, being able to work together and be together and stuff on the team drives and things. And I can't imagine what that's got to be like for him to have family on the team and stuff like that. And yeah, he's been a surprise this season. He's one of those guys that we didn't really expect a ton from. But 3 goals on the season, he's getting that offensive production from the blue line that we need, that we just talked about and that stuff. And man, the feeling that he must have been going through, having scored the game winner that moves you on to the championship game, is just it's an exhilarating feeling. And so I'm really happy for the kid.
Absolutely right. I know his relatives were in attendance for the game, and I bet that was a lot of fun for them to see that. So UNO wins in OT 4-3. That meant that they were going to play in the championship game of the Desert Hockey Classic on Saturday night. We had the second game of Friday nights, which was Arizona State and Harvard. Arizona State ended up handling Harvard pretty well. So the Mavs ended up facing Arizona State in that Saturday night championship game. That first period on Saturday night was a high-flying first period. Two very entertaining teams to watch go at it. 14:44 into the first. Freshman forward Tanner Ludke, we just talked about his brother getting the OT winner on Friday. But Tanner gets the scoring started on Saturday night. He's a Coyotes prospect, so playing in what might potentially be his future NHL arena. It's interesting that
Crazy
an
saying
NHL
that.
team. Yeah, I know. We'll talk a little bit about that later. He puts UNO up 1-0. He picked the puck up in the neutral zone, gets behind Arizona State defenseman Josh Niedermeyer and skates it into the offensive zone and puts it away. A great way to start the game for UNO, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought we came out, I know you and I talked and stuff about like Arizona's transition game is really, really good. And that was going to be a struggle for UNO to kind of keep them off that transition game, keep their speed low and things like that. And UNO did a great job of it in the first. You outshoot ASU, you do really everything you needed to do. You kind of grind out the game, play a lot of puck possession in their zone, generating chances, creating movement, force them to take changes on their transition instead of just being able to skate the puck out. A really encouraging first period, even without the goal, and the goal was just icing on the cake at that point in time, to be able to go into the locker room up 1-0.
UNO held that 1-0 lead through the second period. We were hoping maybe they could add a goal. Coach Greg Powers of ASU obviously made some adjustments between the second and third period because Arizona State looked good in that third period, and I thought we were on our heels a little bit. Arizona State had lots of good opportunities in their offensive zone. They moved the puck around really, really well. And 2:10 into that third period, former UNO recruit Ryan O'Reilly ties the game up. He had a really nice weekend. What did you think of UNO at that point? Because it's a very different game, tied 1-1, than holding that one goal lead.
Third period was just, it seemed like it was all Arizona State. Like we couldn't get anything going right. They tie the game, and then, then you're just kind of holding on and hoping like we get maybe a lucky bounce or something, and just couldn't find our opportunities, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Sun Devils definitely had the momentum in that third period. So the game was tied after regulation. It goes once again for UNO to that 5-minute 3-on-3 overtime. 143 into OT. Arizona State's Kyle Smolin puts in the game winner from an assist by former UNO recruit Lucas Sillinger. It was inopportune timing on the change for UNO.
Yeah,
A little bit.
a
Yeah.
little bit. I mean, I think you should have expected that change at that point in time. And, I think we just got, honestly, like when you got three guys out there, there's not a lot of room for error. And I think that our coverage got caught watching the puck too much and not accounting for players. And the guy you didn't account for is the one making the change. And like they had possession, and that was the big thing, is once that possession turned over to them and they got that guy coming off the bench, there was no man's land. Like there's no way we were anywhere close to that stuff. And it's just, it's unfortunate because the guys did fight back and they had some opportunities. They controlled the opening faceoff in the overtime and got a good rush right off of that. And so you thought, well, hey, maybe we can pull two in a row here and get Griffin out there or Tanner out there, and one of the two of them can just single-handedly take the brotherly take the team to victory or something. But so it's hard. I feel bad for the guys because it is a mental mistake, and it's their fault. And I'm sure that the guys on the ice are thinking the same thing. Like we blew that, we had it, and we blew it, and it's our fault. And so I always hate it when they feel like that. You just never really want your team to kind of be in that situation, but it's unfortunate, and it's still a good game. It was a great game to watch, and hopefully the fans that watched online and the fans that did make the trip down to Arizona enjoyed the opportunity to see it, because I certainly did.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A great way to start the new year for UNO. Look, it's UNO's had some tough games against Arizona State on the road in Tempe. So a good performance. Arizona State currently sits at 16th in the pairwise, and they are unbeaten in their last 10 games after the weekend. UNO is 10-6-2. The Saturday game is the first time UNO has lost a game with a lead going into the third period this season. But like we said, a very entertaining series, great performance, a great tone setter going into the second half grind of the NCHC. Jason, I've got to ask you, who is your player of the week for UNO in the Desert Hockey Classic?
It was a tough one. There's a few guys that stood out. I think you can look to a couple that probably we expected a little bit more of. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards, you know what? I'm gonna go with Lakotsi. Like, I don't think that the goals that were let in against UMass were really, egregiously like his fault kind of things. Like, there was one that I thought he really wasn't on his angle, and that's kind of why it went in. The power play goal certainly wasn't his fault. There's just not much you can do in that situation when the pass comes across like that. And so, but he made some really, really crazy saves uh, in that UMass Lowell game, and he did a lot to keep us in it in that third period of the Arizona State game. So um, there's a couple other guys I was kind of leaning towards, but I thought he's probably a big reason why we were where we were this weekend. Otherwise, I thought we could have lost to UMass Lowell and not even been playing Harvard instead. So
Yeah,
how about
and
you,
when you
John? Who
well,
stood out to you?
well, I'll just say on Simon, when you look at that Saturday game against Arizona State, and you mentioned he really did save our bacon during that third period. He had 33 saves during that game. He has a 2.44 goals against average this season and a 0.911 save percentage. Very solid goaltender. We love Simon Lakozy. I think that that's a great pick. I'm going with junior forward Zach Erdahl. First of all, it's just great to see him back in the lineup. I really think we've missed him the past few series going into the Christmas break. So he was back for the first time since November 19th. He had the first goal for UNO on Friday, and he has 3 goals and 4 assists this season. He's a real spark offensively, and he's the kind of guy that we need to step up and have success. A veteran forward, played in the Big Ten the past couple of seasons. I hate to see those guys injured and out for any length of time, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, the ideal situation is you have your whole team available to you, and coaches have hard decisions on who plays and who sits. So, getting him back certainly was a spark, and hopefully this was like his weekend to kind of work off some of the rust. Because when you come back from injury and stuff, you definitely do have some of that, like getting a feel for what the game's like uh, for a while there. So, big
Absolutely.
things to come in the future, hopefully for him.
Yeah, I hope he has a solid second half of the season. But turning to things you missed at Mullett Arena. Jason and I were there the first time we've gotten to see Arizona State's new on campus arena, which they are sharing with the Phoenix Coyotes because of some sort of dispute with their actual NHL arena out in Glendale. I don't follow the Coyotes, and I'm a college guy, as everybody knows, so I don't follow that story. But they are playing in a arena that sits a little over 4,000 people and is definitely not an NHL type of arena. So that must be very interesting for Coyotes fans. But obviously, we are talking about this Desert Hockey Classic at Mullett Arena and our experience there. Before we headed over to the arena, there was a team send off at the Hyatt Hotel up the street from the arena that we attended. Got a chance to cheer and clap for the players at the hotel before they headed over to the arena. What did you think of that, Jason?
It was fun. Hopefully the guys appreciated seeing everyone there. And I think back to the Augustana series and when so many people made the trip up the road up 29 there to Sioux Falls to see that. Like, it was nice because like in that series, like I remember their faces after the game and seeing like all of us in that section. And this was a situation where we didn't have that opportunity where like all of us could sit in this section where we were friendly fire kind of thing, right? And so to know that we were going to be scattered all over the arena, I hope that the team just appreciated that everyone was there and they took the opportunity. So many of them took the opportunity to go to the hotel and be like, hey, we're going to be there. We're going to be cheering for you.
Yeah, it's nice to do those kind of neat little things to support the team when they're on the road, because UNO fans don't travel on the road in big college hockey fans in general, other than maybe North Dakota fans, don't always travel a lot. So it's nice to do that when we have a good contingent of fans on the road. As I mentioned earlier, Bill Pickett, who's Omaha's director of spirit, tradition, and signature events, brought a group of students down to the Desert Hockey Classic. Bridget interviewed him before that game at the player send off. Here's what Bill had to say during that interview with Bridget.
What time did you guys get to the airport?
4 a.m.
All right, and what time did you fly direct to?
Yeah, we were out of Epley at 5:30 direct to Phoenix. So it was worth getting up early and getting here early because they've had some time to explore campus and get checked into the hotel and stuff. But it was an early morning.
How many students do you have with you?
There's 19 of us.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
And obviously a great experience for them to get to come down and do this sort of thing.
For sure.
Who do you credit, who you want to thank for that?
Honestly, the biggest thanks would be all of the donors for our Wear Black, Give Back campaign. About 70% of our trip was paid for by donors, which was awesome. And then the students paid a little bit to come, but it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience and opportunity for them, and we couldn't have done it without the donors that helped us out.
And what else do you guys have planned while you're down here? They got to explore a little bit of campus. Do you have any other activities for them?
We do. After the game today, we're going to the Arizona Mills Mall. They're going to explore there, and we're going to go to dinner at Rainforest Cafe as a group. And then we kind of got to wait and see how the first game, pans out to plan our schedule tomorrow. But we're hoping to do a couple activities in Phoenix. A couple of them want to go hiking and kind of explore the city. So tomorrow will be kind of a variety of activities going on. The hotel has a great pool, hot tub, and stuff, so they want to kind of hang out and socialize around fire pits. So it's a quick 2 days, but it should be a fun and relaxing trip.
One of the big things that we talked a lot about this weekend were the concession options within Mullett Arena. There were 3 concession stands on the main arena level, a pizza stand, a burger stand, and a Shaq's Big Chicken stand, Shaq meaning Shaquille O'Neal. There was another stand tucked on the lower level, which I'm referring to as the entrance level of the arena, in the northeast corner, that was not open. It featured Philly sandwiches, and Jason and I really wanted that. The one thing we really wanted in the arena, there was also a Wetzel's Pretzels cart on the entrance level and a grab-and-go station. Jason got some pretzels. He and I shared those on Saturday night, and Bridget and Jason both got drinks at the grab-and-go stand on Saturday night, which we've talked about the grab-and-go stand before. We talked about it when UNO traveled to Augustana. It's a really a neat concept that I kind of liked. Jason, what were your thoughts on the concessions at Mullett Arena?
Well, my first thought is what's this like for an NHL game? Because this wouldn't fly at any NHL game I went to. There's not enough. There's not enough space. There's not enough food. But I know they have fewer fans, so I guess they make it work that way. But that was my first thought, and then honestly, like I really wasn't. What was weird is like I wasn't impressed with any of the food that we had. You had your what was it? You had grilled cheese.
Yeah, I guess you could call that grilled cheese. That came from the Shaq's Big Chicken stand, and it was basically toasted bread with cheese on it that didn't melt. So if you're watching on YouTube,
that's because you didn't do the tomato. Your problem was you didn't put tomato on it.
Who has tomato on grill? I mean, maybe that's one of Shaquille O'Neal's favorites, but like I saw that it was grilled cheese with tomato, and I'm like, I don't want tomato on my grilled cheese. I eat grilled cheese with cheese, maybe bacon on the grilled cheese, but not tomato. So I ordered it without tomato. And that was obviously a big mistake because it was completely unappetizing. And as we talked about a few episodes ago, when we went up to Duluth back in December, Bridget got the grilled cheese dipper there, and that thing looked amazing. And Bridget got it both nights. It looked delicious. This definitely wasn't. I think you were probably impressed, Jason, that I actually ate that whole thing.
I You did better than I. I don't know if I could have eaten that thing. Yeah, that was like I'm like, okay, well, I'm not getting that. And like I saw people with the fries and chicken strips, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not getting that because that doesn't look appetizing either. And so I walked over and I looked at the sliders, and I'm like, well, the sliders are kind of uninviting as well. They're like mini rolls and like I don't know, hashed up. Like it just didn't look appetizing at all. It was just like hamburger on a Hawaiian roll kind of thing. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm not getting that. So I ended up with a hot dog, which was not very good.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that I've got to hand it to Baxter Arena as much as we analyze the concessions. The selection was
Way better.
miles better.
Way. Yeah.
In the Mavpuck.com Facebook group, people talk about the popcorn prices at Baxter Arena all the time. It's become kind of a thing this season. And so retired UNO professor Jeff French, he got me a bag of the popcorn at Mullett Arena, which was $5.50. Jason, you and I both sampled the bag of popcorn. What'd you think of the popcorn? I thought it tasted a little bit stale, right?
Yeah. And that's the takeaway, I think, just in general, is like, as far as I was concerned, the food quality way better, the options way better at Baxter, the prices way higher at Baxter. So I think the question for fans is like, is it worth it kind of thing? I think you're getting a better product. The question is just, is it worth the extra money or not, I guess. But yeah, the popcorn gate is pretty funny to keep track of, I think. So we're gonna have to we'll have to see where that goes, in the future. But yeah, I was not impressed with the quality of any of the food at the Mullet.
Some other things we saw at Mullett Arena. The mascot was rollerblading in the concourse before the Saturday night game. We've seen our mascot here and there skating out on the ice. But we haven't seen the mascot rollerblading in the concourse at Baxter Arena. So that might be something worth trying. It might be a harrowing journey for the mascot and the UNO hockey fans at Baxter, but that might be something that would be kind of neat to do. One of the things that Jason and I got a chuckle of was the amount of time that Arizona State spent promoting their uniforms on the video board both Friday and Saturday night. What'd you think of the promo for their uniform? I think it was called, and I could be wrong on this. I did not write this down. But if you're watching this on YouTube, I've got the recording. I think they referred to this as their digital flame jersey that they're wearing this season.
I, you know, I'm really curious next year when they enter the NCHC, if any of this changes, because they're clearly more into the special jerseys and like not to knock it, but like this is pretty basic. It's like it's the bullhead, it's on or it's the Omaha logo, and it's on a white jersey or a black jersey. And so like there's not years of like not a whole lot that goes into it and stuff, and like they're way out there. They're not like Chrome Helmet Oregon kind of thing, but it's pretty crazy what they're doing with their jerseys and how far they're going. And so I'm curious to see when they come to NCHC if they do something really far out there for their jerseys.
I was honestly disappointed that we, didn't get to see two different uniform combinations this weekend, because I was looking forward to that, since that's kind of become one of their calling cards in college hockey. So yes, we'll have to see how that goes when they're playing us in the NCHC next season. One of the things Jason loved about Mullett Arena was the sound system volume, as Jason likes that thing cranked up. So I've got to, yell at him during the game when we're talking. Jason just wants to sit there quietly, enjoy his beer, and watch the game. and listen to the music and the PA
PA
announcer
system.
at a nice volume.
Uh, I told you though, like how much is it like how nice is it that like you can feel the energy in the arena? Like you feel it. You cannot go to Mullett Arena and I got to imagine it's the same with the Coyotes game because I can tell you going to Avalanche games and seeing other teams, like the Capitals, oh my gosh, like that place is rocking. The Verizon Center out there. So like you can't tell me you weren't like you could just sit there and be like, like you could feel it. They pump that music in there and the goal horn, the number of times like I know it's coming and it still makes me like jolt. And I'm like, that's what I like that. I really want Baxter just to like crank that thing up and just blow us all out.
And I do not.
I
I
know.
want it at a low volume so I can sit and chat with Bridget and chat with everybody else around us. So Jason and I are diametrically opposed on that topic. So we'll have to see what transpires at Baxter. And then finally, we want to talk about the goal song after Arizona State scores a goal at Mullett Arena. It's kind of a stylized version of "Hey Baby," which I don't know what you think about that. I tend to be a collegiate purist. I really prefer having a band there, um, and have them play the fight song. But there were a number of years where UNO did not have a band at games. So I certainly understand that. I don't know if Arizona State normally has a band at their games. It was obviously still the holiday break going on there. What'd you think of that goal song, Jason?
It's got to be one of the weirdest goal songs I've ever experienced. Like it's almost melodic. It's like usually a goal song is like it's amp, jump, pump. It's like, get you off your seat, get you rocking, and like even the fans that were into it, and I'm thinking, like, what is the hey baby? Like what are we talking about here? And
I mean,
then after they get through all of that, John, then you got the monologue that happened in the student section for taunting the goaltender. Like I want to go back to Baxter and hear the Red Army taunt him for like, sieve, 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 not like, no joke. This thing's like a 3-minute monologue they're running through, and I can't understand half of it.
there was a lot going on with that taunt of the goaltender, and I didn't understand what they were saying either. So hey, if it works for them, great. I to each their own, right?
That's what we'll get to deal with in the NCHC next year.
For those wondering, when we were looking around the arena, I compared it to the Mid America Center in Council Bluffs. Jason compared it to Ralston Arena here in the Omaha metro area. So I guess I would kind of say for Omaha fans wondering what Mullett Arena is like, it's kind of like the Mid America Center and Ralston Arena had a baby. And this is what came out. I have a feeling down the road, Jason, that they will, at some point, when they're able to raise more dollars, that they will probably go back in and do some renovations and enhancements to the arena, because it was a very interesting arena. You went in and there really was not a formal like lobby area like you'll see in a lot of the college hockey arenas around the nation.
Yeah, that was one of the big takeaways for me was like there's no grand entrance. There's no main area, and then when you come in, it's kind of like we went up the first set of stairs and you're like halfway in the section, and so then you go up the stairs for the rest of the section to get to what was the main concourse. And so that was a little odd. And then we found out that like if we went around the corner from where we came in, then you could go up. And we tried a different entrance on Saturday, and it still kind of just felt like it just kind of felt weird. Like it didn't feel like that usual, that feeling you get when you just kind of walk in and it's like you're here. Now it's kind of like you walk in and you're like, where do I go now?
Yeah, absolutely right. So, good starting point for this program. It should be an exciting place for NCHC fans to visit during the regular season, starting next year. And one more thing I wanted to mention that I really liked how they have these, I don't even know how to describe them. They're like these tall poles that you hold your phone up to with your digital ticket open, and you just tap it and it gives a green light when the ticket's ready to go and you can head on into the game. It's a really slick thing. I hope UNO gets these some days, because right now UNO's still having to use their little scanners and hold them close to your phone to scan. But this was nice because you just put the phone up, it read that you had the ticket, so you just tapped it there and you were ready to go, Jason.
Yeah, or if you're pulling it up on the browser or something, there's a barcode reader on the bottom that you just hold it under and it reads the barcode. I know we saw some of the people coming in. I'm used to that because that's the way the ball arena in Colorado's been that way for a few years now, where it's almost self-service where you just walk up, tap, green light, and you go in. And most people that I've watched in those things don't have issues with it. And then every once in a while, you get someone whose phone's not working right, the NFC's not going, the barcode can't be read or something, and the arena staff have to come over and kind of help with that. And so I mentioned to you, like, what I really like about it is that the majority of fans, particularly season ticket holders who are going to go through this, multiple times in a season, they're going to be the ones that you just don't have to worry about. It just goes, it flows, it walks right up, right in, and they use Ticketmaster just like we do. So I agree. Hopefully, UNO can invest in some of those things, and it will help with the flow coming into Baxter Arena.
Yep, it'll definitely help if they get those at some point down the road with hockey games, the other UNO athletic events, and the concerts, because UNO hosts quite a few concerts during the year. So, yeah, a fun time checking out the arena down there. And I know in the future we will be back because we had a great time. But turning to our next series, it's against our travel partner in the NCHC, North Dakota. We travel on the road up I-29 to Grand Forks to take on the North Dakota Fighting Hawks at Ralph Engelstad Arena. North Dakota is 14-5-1 this season. They are 3-3 in their last 6 NCAA games. They're coming off a sweep of Alaska Fairbanks on January 5th and 6th at the Ralph. North Dakota head coach Brad Berry, which UNO fans are very familiar with, is 194, 97, and 32 in his career with North Dakota. North Dakota is currently in second place in the NCHC with 18 points. We have 9 points in NCHC play this season, so this is an opportunity for us to pick up some conference points. It's a couple players to watch. Senior goalie Ludwig Pearson, who transferred in from Miami of Ohio, has started 18 games for the Fighting Hawks this season. He has a 2.21 goals against average and a .909 save percentage. He seemed to have UNO's number when he was playing for the Red Hawks down in Oxford, Ohio. So we'll see how he does against us this upcoming weekend. And junior forward Cam Berg, a former Maverick, has appeared in 20 games this season. He is third on the team in points, has 9 goals and 10 assists. He is 19th in the NCAA in faceoffs won. Jason, we were really sad to see Cam Berg leave the Mavericks. We got to meet him at the dinner with the Mavs. Really nice kid. He's having success at North Dakota, but well, we don't want him to have too much success against UNO this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, you always, former Mav, I always wish them the best. You never know what leads into them leaving, and I wish he would have been able to perform like this when he was down here, because we never saw any shades really of this. Here and there, maybe a glimpse of something, but yeah, I mean, almost a point per game player for North Dakota. It's just unfortunate. I think that he didn't have that here. The guys I'm watching though, Jaden Perron, freshman forward, he shoots the puck a lot. He's tied for the team lead in shots, and so he's clicking about half a point a game. He's a guy to watch. He's one that if you focus too much on their top line, he's that guy that seems to kind of slip in there and hurt teams when they don't balance out. And so I keep an eye on him, and then crossing fingers last time we have to talk about Reese Gaber, and hopefully he graduates and moves on to something else that doesn't involve scoring big goals against UNO.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Reese Gaber, one of the finest forwards in the NCHC the past few seasons, has 11 goals and 9 assists. He's second in points on the team. And then, one more player. I mean, lots of talented forwards, as you and I are alluding to here on this Fighting Hawk team. Sophomore forward Jackson Blake has 11 goals, 13 assists, 24 total points, first on the team. Really talented forward. So they definitely have a lot of firepower, and a team like North Dakota that plays an aggressive forecheck, they're willing to run up and down the ice with you. And so it'll be interesting to see how UNO does. Jason, what's your prediction for this weekend up in Grand Forks? Do you think
Yeah, I
we
mean, up
split?
and down the roster for North Dakota, you've got NHL recruits all over the place. So they're balanced attack, their quality goal scoring, their quality players all over the place. I think their biggest Achilles heel is the goaltending. So a key to victory is going to be Simon Lakotzi's got to be better than the person, if we're going to even stand a chance. But unfortunately, my prediction is that North Dakota wins them both. I think at home, with their fans chasing the top spot in the NCHC. They're a club that always expects to be there, and they're going to see this. And just like I've said before about Omaha, like, you want to be there, you've got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. They're supposed to beat us, and they're a team that typically doesn't play down to their competition. Um, I think we'll make the first game close. I think that we'll surprise them a little bit. I think we can take a lot of what we learned from Arizona State, and apply that to how to play North Dakota. So I think we lose a close one on Friday, but I think once we lose that close one, Saturday might get away from us.
Absolutely. Goal scoring is always an adventure for UNO. You never know what's going to happen. I'm going to say in this series that UNO follows kind of a pattern that developed in the first half of the season. I'm going to say we lose on Friday night, and I'm going to say we come back, make adjustments, and get it done on Saturday night in a close, tight game that goes down to the wire at the end of the third period. Should be interesting to see. Game times, the Friday game is at 7:07 p.m. Central Time. The Saturday game is at 6:07 p.m. Central Time. You can listen to the games on the radio at 1290 Coil or on the Varsity Network app. And of course, you can watch both games on NCHC TV. Should be an exciting series to start off the second half of NCHC play. Jason and I, of course, are excited to see what happens, and be sure to follow Mavpuck on Twitter and Facebook during those games this upcoming weekend. But until next time, Jason, go Mavs.
Go Mavs.